ago, I stood before you as a new president, looking out at faces that I did not know, with an audience that I wasn't sure of, and here I am today with colleagues and friends and students who are working really hard as we move forward in the implementation of the strategic plan. We have a lot of successes, and I am honored for all the work that you have done over the last 2 years. And in that spirit, I invite you to join me in looking back with that very first town hall. Some of you will recognize different hairstyles and different outfits, and you're going to see how much we have accomplished over this time. Slideshow, great. Join me in thanking the Strategic Communications team for putting that together. Thank you very much. And I want to thank you, everyone participating this morning, all of you who are here, whether in person or through social media or on the Irvine campus or watching via the live stream. Thank you for taking the time to make sure your voices are heard and that you are engaged in this critical step of our strategic plan implementation. And note the absence of planning in the statement. I call attention to that because we're not planning anymore. We are moving forward. We are implementing. We are doing. We are no longer discussing if and how increased advisement can benefit our students. We are hiring new advisors and providing them with the groundbreaking tools to enhance the student advising process. We are no longer discussing if and how HIPS, see, we even know what HIPS means, can improve student persistence. And it doesn't mean HIPS don't lie. It's HIPS high impact practices. And we are discussing how we can improve student persistence through HIPS. And not only that, we are the lead campus in the system-wide HIPS initiatives and fast becoming a national leader in demonstrating and implementing proven HIPS and demonstrating success. I know many of you have been to HIPS workshops. Some of you even stayed in dorms and residence halls, but they were really like dorms. And people were talking about how long they've been away from that kind of an experience. We even had Jim Tully just tell me this recently that he just came from talking about HIPS and what we're doing and the great presentation they gave while they represented Cal State Fullerton. And we're no longer discussing the benefits of a more diverse faculty and staff. We are recruiting and hiring and retaining hundreds of high-quality faculty and staff members whose diversity better reflects the student body we serve. We're hiring many, many staff, and we just recalculated to 150 new tenure and tenure-track faculty to be hired in 2 years. What an accomplishment. Your work made those things happen through your work. Here today, more groundbreaking institutional transformations will occur because of the work we're doing now. Not because someone told us to do it, but because we believe it. We believe in Cal State Fullerton. We are Titans. We believe in our students, and we understand that students come here to reach higher, to go to the very top, and this will help us become the model comprehensive university in the nation. With that ambition goal in mind, I remind you that as we stated from the beginning, we cannot and should not achieve all 4 of our goals at once, but rather adhere to the plan's long-term vision over the 5 years where we laid out the building blocks for a brighter future. Those building blocks will help us at the end of our strategic plan to continue to measure our success. You've heard me say, everyone that works at Cal State Fullerton is an educator, and that's true. But we are also responsible for every objective of every goal of our strategic plan, every single one of us, to work collaboratively. That's why I made sure all the wonderful stakeholders were introduced in the beginning. It is a collaborative process. And I am pleased and thankful for the task force recommendations, all of which are on our strategic plan website, and we will serve as a springboard for today's discussion. I am also pleased that after a national search, we were able to appoint Dr. Marianne Villarreal, a new Director of Strategic Initiatives and University Projects, who will serve as an overarching guide for the implementation of our strategic plan. Through events like this, Marianne will help us connect the dots, interlink cross-campus work, creating new benchmarks, and establishing university-wide consensus and alignment in regards to the strategic plan. For those of you who haven't had the pleasure of meeting Dr. Villarreal, I am honored to conclude my welcoming remarks by introducing her. Marianne received her PhD in history from Arizona State University and served as a faculty member in the history department at both the University of Utah and the University of Colorado at Boulder before she decided to move into the administrative ranks. She's schizophrenic like me, likes the faculty role, and likes to do research. She also was the associate dean of the Women's College of the University of Denver. Breathe. You know, hot flashes are terrible. So keeping with her discipline, for the next 3 years, beginning in January 2015, Dr. Marianne Villarreal will serve as co-president of the Coordinating Council for Women in History, an affiliate of the American Historical Association, and has various publications under her belt. Her upcoming book, which I know will be amazing, Listening to Rosita, The Business of Tejana Music and Culture, 1930 to 1955. Again, thank you for participating this morning. Look around you. The tables are full. This place is packed with people who believe that Titans can reach higher. It can't be done without you. We need your voices. We need your work. We need your collaboration across divisions. And we need you to always continue to know that we will become the model, comprehensive, public university of the nation because of the work you do on a daily basis. Thank you. And Marianne Villarreal, welcome.
Well, if I didn't have hot flashes before, I might have one now because this is an amazing room. Thank you all for being here today. Thank you all. This has been an incredible process putting this event together. And the people who have stepped up across campus has just reminded me what an incredible campus this is. Your commitment to each other, to the strategic plan, and to the success of this university is amazing. So I thank you. I was getting emails as early as 5:30 this morning saying, how can I help? We're sending people. We'll make sure you're covered. And so I want to say thank you to everybody. Since I've started this position, I've had an opportunity to meet a number of you, and as I look around, I realize that there are still so many of you to meet, and I look forward to that opportunity. Today is a chance for us to talk about where we're headed. In the first month of my position, I was asked two questions repeatedly. How do we know where we're going? How do we know if we're getting there? How do we know if we've gotten there? And so one of the ways in which I stuck to the basic premise of the strong foundation that you all built in that planning process was to return to the work of the task forces, the work that predated the task forces under planning.fullerton.edu. This is the site that we'll continue to update on a regular basis, that will keep you informed on benchmarks, on information that comes up, on the work that's being done, and how it is that we're moving through those years. It's a very basic piece. If you'll pull up Goal 1 as an example and go to Update or Goal 1 Dashboard, it'll look very familiar to you. Except this time, we have some highlighted sections. So if you go under assessment, we are fully underway with the collaboration between the Academic Senate, with other university communities around an assessment policy, an assessment plan, and you'll see all the links to that. You'll see what's scheduled for the next year under each dashboard, and we'll continue to update this information on a quarterly basis as we get new information from each of you. And I'll talk a little bit later about how we know where we're headed and how you all can contribute, whether it's from your unit, whether it's you individually, to talk about the work that you're doing that is pushing us forward in our strategic plan efforts and in the implementation to make us the model comprehensive public university of the nation. And today what we have on tap is an opportunity for all of you to sit together and have some conversations around the work that has been done with the task forces and where we're moving, to gather information, to give information, to learn more, to ask questions. So I hope this will be a day in which you have the opportunity to find out that question that you thought, well, so what happened? Either when I left that task force, or what happened to that recommendation? How is it being put in place? What are some of the challenges that we can anticipate? How can we work together? Because I know one of the fundamental things that I've learned in my short time here is that people like it when you pick up the phone and say, what do you think about this? And how does this connect to each other? So that will be our opportunity today. Vice President for Advancement, Greg Sachs, will talk to you briefly about the marketing communications study that came out and how that impacts all of us and what that will look like over the next year. And we also have today an opportunity for us to have a little bit of fun. You'll see a ball of yarn rolling around here shortly. So, we'll all have an opportunity to get up and kind of move around and think about where we fit across campus and across strategic goals. And then we'll have an opportunity for question and answer. So we've left that at the very end. So again, thank you. Thank all of you who have made this moment possible, and for all of you who continue to propel us forward and to be a part of this incredible community. And with that, I'd like to introduce Greg Sachs, Vice President for University Advancement.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for making the time to be here, and good morning to our friends in Irvine. I don't know if anyone else can see them, but they're right there.
Right there.
They're not waving back. Okay. Well, one of the things that has always impressed me about the strategic plan that we collectively put together is how there they are, all right, hey. Is how multidimensional it is. So whether we're talking about academic advising or HIPS or campus climate or whatever the case may be, it really hits on all areas of the campus experience. And so while the external market survey is certainly no more important than any of the other elements of the strategic plan, I'm really excited to be able to tell you a little bit about the work that was done last fiscal year as it relates to this piece, and also just to give you a tease, I suppose, about the new website that is really kind of an illustration of the concept that Titans reach higher. So many of you know that one of the main strategies within Goal 4 is getting a good understanding of what our external stakeholders think of us and how we can manage our communications with them. And so with the assistance of the Marketing Strategic Plan Task Force, as well as the Marketing Committee of the Philanthropic Foundation Board of Governors, last fiscal year this study was completed. The study was pretty comprehensive and involved surveys, it involved focus groups, various telephone interviews. Quite literally thousands and thousands of participants contributed to this program. And it really, there's a couple things that kind of came out of it. And the good news is that on the whole, externally, we have a very good reputation. People think very highly of us. We don't need to overcome any kind of obstacle as it relates to what people think of us. The challenge is that what the immediate top of mind things weren't necessarily as compelling as one may want. So for example, our prospective students, one of the highest ranked features of the campus was convenient location. So while I prefer that over inconvenient location, it's really not necessarily doesn't pop quite as much as some of the other items that came up. For example, a quality education and that we prepare graduates for jobs and careers. So really what we need to do is take all these items that our stakeholders spoke positively about and explain why, and be able to explain to all the audiences and speak to all the audiences on why these items are so important, why we are unique in those ways, and how we are able to convey the message in very, very special ways. The next step with this work was the creation of what's called an aspirational market position statement. And basically what this does is it's an internal document that speaks to what we view to be important about us, taken from the information we received from these surveys and other forms of instruments. And what we do then is weave that into all the communications that we provide. And there's several points. I'm not going to read the whole statement because we don't have time, but there are several points that bubbled up that I thought would be important to share today. Several key themes. And they are that we are a leading institution within the CSU system. That was very clear. That all of our external stakeholders think that we set the way, that we are leaders within the 23 campuses. That we are the intellectual and cultural center for Orange County and our region. That we really are a true partner as it relates to workforce and economic development. That came across very, very clear. People seem to understand the size and scope that we have to offer. Not quite as clearly and not quite as defined as we would want, but certainly a wonderful base. That we are a national model for student support success. This is both an aspirational as well as the great work that's been done. Our rich diversity, and then also unmatched value, and a commitment to accessibility. You know, moving forward, you'll see some changes in how we talk about Cal State Fullerton. For example, instead of just simply saying that we are a diverse campus, we'll talk about the value of living and working in a global society and how our students are uniquely prepared to be able to succeed in lots of different forums. And I think one of the best illustrations of kind of the way in which we will be positioning and shaping this conversation is in this website. It's up on the screen. The web link is reachhigher.fullerton.edu. And I invite you to check it out. I know Mary Ann's going to be visiting and talking a little bit more about it in a few minutes. But I think really the key takeaway as you think about this website is that it serves as a dynamic tool and a forum to update the campus community on the work of the strategic plan, how we're externally communicating about it, and you'll see that those key themes that I mentioned are on top. This works to complement the main strategic plan webpage, so while that page is very functional, this one is dynamic in how we communicate to our external communities. So lastly, I just want to thank Jeff Cook. He is our AVP for Strategic Communication that really did the heavy lifting with this entire study, which took the entire fiscal year and was a very large effort, working with lots and lots of internal and external stakeholders. And you know, Jeff has prepared a presentation that talks about the entire process as well as where we landed and provides more details on some of the items that were highly ranked and not so highly ranked. And if you would like your unit to have that presentation, I know Jeff is very, very eager to provide that presentation to any and all folks. He's already done that with several people around campus, and I know he looks forward to doing it with others as well. So please feel free to contact Jeff or myself, and we can hook you up with that. So again, just thank you very much. I appreciate the time, and please, again, take some time to enjoy. Again, that website was reachhigher.fullerton.edu. And Mary Ann, back to you.
So now the fun begins. If you are a scribe at the table, if you have your iPad open, if you go to the Fullerton or the planning.fullerton.edu town hall tab and scroll down, it's on the far right. Well, if you click on Town Hall, you scroll down, you'll see a link that says Participation, and that link is a Qualtrics link for you to put your name, facilitator's name, if you have the members at your table, or they can write it down. But that will be where you can type up your notes and submit them at the very end, and that way we can gather all notes. Somebody asked me earlier, do you want to know who said what? I think we'll be able to work through that. What we'd like is as comprehensive a picture of what takes place so that later on we can post those notes and continue the conversation. So for the next 45 minutes, 10:30, yes, for the next 45 minutes, you'll be engaged in your conversation. There are live tweet walls. You'll see them up. Thank you, Mike, and that team, social media team. There'll be live tweet walls, some folks walking around, talking about what's happening at tables. And please, I'll be walking around as well if you have any questions, but let the conversations begin. to this part of today's session. We're going to move on to an icebreaker. As you begin to wrap up the wrap-up. So if I could have our facilitators, and it's all yours. You want to introduce yourselves?
Testing. Testing, testing. Alrighty. Good morning, everyone. My name is Dear Unitik Traku, and I'm an assistant coordinator for the Diversity Initiatives and Resource Center.
I'm Abraham Monzon. I'm the other assistant coordinator in Diversity Initiatives and Resource Centers.
First of all, thank you so much for being here today. I'm sure that you had a really, really great discussion. So, something to think about, right? We're going to do an activity. So something to think about. I'm sure that you have discussed something very interesting topics, and the hope is that these conversations have allowed us to consider the critical role we hold in moving the strategic plan forward. So we are going to do an activity, and Abraham, you want to take it away?
Okay, yeah. So we're going to start with table 8A. Can we get a volunteer from 8A?
From table 8A. Huh?
So who's going to be our volunteer? Kelsey. Closer. Okay, so we are going to have our rep talk about their name, their department, and I want you to talk about what your work in goal number two, how what you're doing relates to goal number 2, and how that relates to goal number 1. So how your work relates to goal number 2, which is to increase the graduation rates, and how that relates to goal number 1, which is using high impact practices in the curricular and co-curricular.
Okay. My name is Kelsey Brewer. I work over in the Associated Students. Yes, yay, ASI. So how goal 2 of increasing graduation rates.
How your work relates to goal 2.
Okay.
And how that relates to goal 1 as well.
Okay. You're going to have to say that again eventually. So one of the things that we focus on over in ASI that we think helps improve graduation rates, which is part of goal 2, is making the connection for students between the work that they do in student leadership and the connection into the classrooms. And if you talk to our leadership and program development department, they'll tell you that students who are involved in leadership opportunities, both in ASI and throughout the campus, have a tendency to graduate earlier and with higher GPAs. So we think that's very, very important. And that's supposed to link to goal 1 of high impact practices. No.
Curriculum.
Thank you. I should have this memorized, but I don't. Participating in a global society and responsive to workforce needs. In my position in ASI, I work with a lot of external advocacy, so I have the opportunity to meet with legislators and business owners. And one thing that they talk about wanting our students to be prepared to do is to work and have kind of that global sense and being able to respond to different opportunities and different needs that are in the workforce. And I know personally my experience in student leadership is that you have to be responsive to different personalities and different ways to work within a group. So I think that the experience that you get, at least in leadership opportunities, really does help prepare you to be kind of that global citizen who can participate and be responsive.
Great, so great connection. So if you could hold one end of the string, and we're gonna connect you. So we're gonna connect you with someone working on goal number 1. So if I could get a volunteer from 3A. Have a volunteer. Yeah, that is. great. So if our volunteer from 3A could share their name, their department, and we'll start off how the work you're doing relates to Goal 1.
Okay. Hi, I'm Tristing Black. I'm the Assistant Dean for the Mahalo College of Business and Economics. And I oversee the business advising for all of our undergraduate students that are majoring in business. So we serve a very large population of students. Our work relates directly to goal number 1 in that we're always looking for new and innovative ways to advise our students. We definitely are looking forward to meeting the goals of having 75% of our population experience the integrated advising. We work really closely with our Mahalo Career Center as well as our tutoring center and student clubs and activities. So Kate Guerrero, Emily Young, and myself, we set up a lot of activities, workshops, collaborative events for our students. This past summer, we took a look at how we advise our new incoming transfer students. For our college, we have done it for a number of years where it's mandatory that all of our incoming transfer students meet one-on-one with a business advisor. One of the problems that we had experienced was how to get these students to our advisors in a timely fashion. And what we did was we tried something new. We set up appointments for all of our incoming transfer students that had not yet seen an advisor on their day of orientation. And we weren't sure if it would work or not. And it actually did. We did not experience the time waits that we had in the past. And as we move forward, we're going to continue progressing and looking at new ways of advising our students. We are also using the Titan network to do notes on all of our students. And I think that's about it.
Now, if you could tie that to goal number 4.
Oh, gosh. Goal number 4, what is that? That's the advancement one, right? Okay. So let's see here. I would say that with goal number 4, by having our students all receive advisement and helping them to achieve their goals in a more timely fashion, we're going to increase our funding. Mahalo College of Business and Economics definitely represents high success in achieving in our alumni with our building that we have, receiving the large donation that we received in the past from Stephen G. Mahalo. And we want to continue doing that and continue supporting our students so that way as they go out into the community, they remember that they were supported here.
Thank you. So if we could get a volunteer from table 18A now.
Sorry. 18A, where you at? Right here. So, right here. Right here. No problem. So we got a volunteer from 18A right here. So just pretty much simple, state your name, your department, and how the work you do relates to goal number 4.
Good morning. My name's Joan Rubio. I'm the Executive Director of Central Development and University Advancement. And my primary responsibilities are for foundation relations, some corporate relations, and planned giving for the campus. So I work with a lot of people across campus. The work that I do in my area with my colleagues supports Goal 4 in that we are trying to seek private support for the campus through private foundations, corporate foundations, and planned giving donors.
And how does that
Well, recently I had the opportunity to meet with some Lori Gentles and some of the folks in Human Resources regarding the Human Resources Diversity Initiative. And we have identified some funders, some foundation funders, and some corporate foundation funders who we are going to be working with going forward as we look at some of the detailed work that they'd like to do for that initiative to see if we can bring some private support to support that.
Thank you so much. So now you're going to hold the yard. Oh. Now can I get a volunteer from table 14A? 14A. Anyone from 14A? Table 14A was gone. They're gone? Right there? Okay. Okay, so please state your name, your department, and how the work you do relates to Goal 3.
Oh, boy. Okay. So my name is Lisa Kopecki. I'm the Assistant Vice President for Academic Operations and Finance in Academic Affairs, obviously. And so what I do is I oversee academic budgets, academic space, and operations. In terms of goal number 3, I have the pleasure of working with the colleges and the deans and associate deans on the in the provost and deputy provost on the multiple year hiring plan for faculty in terms of projecting out dollars available, putting together plan amounts, and making sure that the allocations actually make it out to the faculty once we hire them. So I'm involved in that process. And then also working with the deputy provost and the deans on the hiring of new faculty coming in. So intimately involved in that process as well.
Perfect. And how does that tie to goal number 2?
Okay, goal number 2. Well, in terms of the HIPs, you know, hiring faculty members who are involved or engaged in wanting to do high impact practices, wanting to do innovative practices in their instruction, in their programs, getting involved in you know, providing packages to faculty who are coming in, startup packages, who are going to be engaging in research, which are definitely high impact practices. Undergraduate research for students is a high performing, high impact practice, I guess. And making sure that we have the spaces available through improved classrooms, through research spaces for new faculty coming on board, so that they can provide these opportunities to our students.
Perfect. Thank you. So, Irvine campus, you're next. So, can I get a volunteer from you, please? Anyone? Hi. Does that work? So, how is it supposed to work? Anyways, I'll hold the yarn. You're next. So, can I get a volunteer from you, please? Anyone? Does that work? Y'all got it?
We didn't get the string.
Okay, so can
Are
someone...
you holding the yarn?
I can, here. Okay, so can someone state your name?
This is Susan Cooper. I'm from the Irvine campus.
We didn't get the string. And how the work you do relate to goal number 2? Can someone... Here.
All right, we're here with our... This is Susan Cooper. I'm from the Irvine campus.
And how the work you do relate to goal number 2?
We're here with the staff and faculty and Human Services 380 class, and our work relates to goal number 2 by helping to increase the transfer rate from Irvine Valley College and Saddleback College through our STAR agreement. And we are increasing participation in our high impact practices with our supplemental instruction in computer science and ISDS and in math. And we are increasing our attention to students who are nearing graduation with the employment of our new graduation specialist.
Great. So if we could have everyone that's holding some of the string right now stand up and wrap it a little bit tightly around your hand so that it's stretched out again.
Graduation with the employment of our new graduation specialist.
Great. So if we could have our volunteer from this corner over here, and from this corner over here, drop your part of the string. So we just got to see how the string really connects, right? Our goals are interrelated, but when some of us don't work with each other and we don't make these goals being connected, the string starts falling apart, right? And it starts becoming weaker and weaker. And so in coming to fruition with our strategic plan and working in all our goals, we need to work with each other, right? Get out of silos and be able to connect this string with every single table in this room, with the Irvine campus. And so that was just a visual representation of how we are tied together. Every one of us can talk about the goals that we're working with directly and how that relates to other goals on campus. So I don't know if there's anyone from the president's office.
Thank you.
Can we give another round of applause? These are two people that stepped up at the very end and said, we got this. We got it. I have to admit, I waited for risk management to say there is string that might trip people running around. So I'd like to share with you the incredible work that's been done with by the Strategic Communications Department, and it is, if we can pull up the Reach Higher site. The planning.fullerton site is going to be the site, again, where we stay to the structure of who we are in terms of our planning, what we've done, our benchmarks. You can track it that way. You'll be able to watch timelines, see new benchmarks appear as we continue to work. The Titans Reach Higher page is the page that we'll be working together with Strategic Communications and blogging out the work that you're doing. So the conversations that you've had here, the notes that have been taken from your scribes, I'll work with all the facilitators to write up a 300-word blog, and let's talk about what happened, what ideas came out of it, and then you can attach to that. So we had two folks, two different departments that offered an early blog to give you some examples today. We have the Office of Diversity Initiatives and Resource Centers, and Dr. Joy Hoffman and her team put together a piece, and you can see, which I can't, So when you go back to your office, when you have the opportunity, if you have your phone, your iPad now, take a look. And you can see that her team put together who they are, what they're doing, how you can find out about them. You want to receive the weekly newsletter? Sign up. Right? As we talked about to string, how do you get that information? How do we push that information out? And where can we participate together? And so I want to thank you. That was an incredible piece that you wrote. I mean, asking somebody for 300 words is always a challenge for somebody that says, but I want to tell you this and that. So there's always space for us to grow in this space. Recognize that. And then the other piece of that is that we are tagging them so that we can be reminded, how is this aligned with Strategic Goal 1, Strategic Goal 2 along the way? The second one came out of Strategic Communications, a way forward. Again, on this site, you'll find the link to our aspirational position statement. You'll find out more information about how we're talking about ourselves. As Vice President Sachs noted earlier, how are we going to talk about ourselves? How are we talking about Goal 2 rather than knowing that we're a diverse community, but how are we a diverse and global meeting the needs to fit our students into a diverse and global society? So who are we in the community? Who are we nationally? And how are we setting ourselves in that? So I wanted to bring your attention to this work today. All of these blogs will go through. I'll be working with all of you. So if there's something that you're working on, please contact me. And we'll get a piece up, and we'll let people know what's going on and how they can link directly to your work along the way. So I'm going to say thank you. This is, they were on my panic button. Are we going live? Are we going live? Are we going live? And so I think they're happy to be off my panic button today. So we have that blog piece that will be part of the where we're headed, right? So that's the answer to the second question. How do we know where we're headed? How do we know what's happening and what we're doing? And that's just one piece of information that will continue to flow out of today's town hall. Now, certainly, I imagine many of you have questions, so we want to take the next 20 minutes to answer some questions. We're going to have some wireless mics going around the room, and there will be different people who might have an answer to that question. So certainly, I'm not the person with all the answers, and so we'll direct questions, and I know that folks who led task forces, our cabinet, and directors who are now in charge of projects will be ready to answer those questions. So, who? Right. We'll come to you. We have a question over here. Sandy's going.
Hi, I'm Dana Rutledge from nursing, and I read the climate survey that came out last week, and I'm interested in what's going to happen as a result of the climate survey and when it's going to be repeated and how much breakdown is there going to be in terms of the results of the climate survey beyond which it's already been broken down into faculty and staff.
Vice President Gentles.
Thanks for the question. So the climate survey, as many of you know, came out public across the campus last Thursday. In that survey on the website, you saw that we said that the president has appointed a climate survey evaluation team that's representative of a cross-divisional team, faculty and staff, that will be looking at the survey results and actually creating a framework for a diversity action plan. If you look on the website under the planning.edu, it talks about goal number 3, and it lists all of the strategies that were identified and linked to strategic goal number 3. One of the strategies was to complete the university-wide climate survey, pardon my back, complete the survey, which we did, and the second goal after that was to develop a diversity action plan, which we're in the process of doing. That goal, or the timeline for completing that goal, is fiscal year 14-15. So the committee met once. We plan on meeting very regularly. We have a very aggressive schedule to meet through this fall semester and come up with a progress report that we will present sometime in the spring. But our goal is to have a diversity action plan, or at least a framework for that, to implement, be ready to implement going into the next fiscal year. And so you asked another question about the breakdown of the results. So as the owners of the data, the raw data, we do have the ability, and this will come out of institutional research, they have the ability to take requests from the campus community on breakdown information to disaggregate some of the data. Now, one of the promises that we made to all of you who completed the survey was that we would maintain confidentiality and anonymity. And so any disaggregation of the data will maintain the integrity of that promise that we had. So we do have that ability.
Hi, I don't have a question, but I do have a comment. My name is Rachel. I'm a President's Scholar and second year in Mahalo College. And I just want to make my voice heard, which is that I think as a student, I have a different perspective than faculty and staff because I am at a different place in my life. I'm a student right now, so I just want everybody to hear that this is something I've learned the hard way recently, that if you consider other people's perspectives before you make decisions, and if we all think about that together, then we can unite the whole campus. And I honestly believe that we have so many resources and so many people that are so willing to work hard on this campus that Cal State Fullerton can truly be a global leader in a million different ways, and I'm ready for that, and I believe my peers are as well. It's just that we're unsure about, what the university wants for us as well. So, yes, thank you. That's all.
Good morning. I just had a question. With Prop 30 coming to an end soon, will that firstly impact the strategic plan? And two, are there contingency plans to assure that these ideas and are these things that we're trying to head to still going to be able to be enacted with this?
So I guess that's a question I should take. We will work within our budget as to how we move forward. These are the priorities. And so we will move along in those priorities. A strategic plan is as good as the budget that it matches. And it's one of the things that was shared with us when our creditors came. So we're going to continue to follow what we have outlined in the strategic plan, the advising, the hiring of the faculty, paying attention to high impact practices, HIPs. Those will be the priorities. And so as I look at California, the budget is getting better. And so what we need to do as a community is to work with our legislators, and they have to hear, I'm sorry, is that better? And they have to hear our voices. not only the students and the faculty and staff, but your neighbors. So talk to the business people that you know. People need to hear that what we do at Cal State Fullerton is the solution to California. We're not the problem. And so we need to get that message across to our governor and our legislators. We need to continue to tell the story of the great things that happen here, because we will be the model comprehensive university of the nation. And they have to see, what is our outcome here? It's the students that graduate and do great things when they leave. It's the faculty that do great research and do publish. The staff that continue to do great work that we do here. And it is through all of us that we continue to advocate, because they have to understand that as the budget gets better, our budget needs to get better too, because we are serving over 38,000 students.
Good morning. I'm Nancy Fernandez from Freshman Programs. I was very moved by the President's Scholar who spoke, and so I am curious, would all the students in the room please stand? I know there's more than just you. Thank you so much for being brave and joining us today. And next time, bring your friends.
Hi, I'm John Spiak. I'm the director of Grand Central Arts Center, the joint venture between Cal State Fullerton and the city of Santa Ana. And we're located in downtown Santa Ana, part of the College of the Arts. In terms of the students, how many of you are freshmen? Yeah, that was my question. So we're working on high impact studies. I have a daughter that's a freshman in college that just started, and I'm trying to figure out how to get her connected at her own college, even though she comes from a family that's all about high impact practice, social engagement, interactive diversity. And it's been really interesting watching that process as a freshman coming in and being intimidated by that process, trying to figure out a new college campus, being away from home. And so I think we really should fill this room with freshmen and ask those questions, because most of us didn't grow up with Facebook or Twitter or Instagram or these other kind of high impact programs that are considered social. And how do we get them out of that kind of technology base into the real world base? And I think we need to ask them, or a generation younger than them, before they even arrive at this university.
Hi. So I'm Berenicia, Vice President of Student Affairs. I want to say to you that one of the most powerful experiences you can have is to have a lot of friends with freshmen in college, or colleagues with freshmen in college. So it's a situation that I'm in often, but one of the things we've been talking about is bringing our freshman orientation to a place where it really is that experience, and also working on our pre-college interactions. So we've done a lot of work with who we're talking to out there in the community and how they understand what we're doing. The other thing is the cut down on the cloud of information and look at our messaging, and how many people actually contact our freshmen before they get here, and what they're hearing. And so that what they're hearing is concise and in a certain order, so that they have all that information. And then repeat. What my students here tell me all the time is that they knew it, but they got it when somebody repeated it. And we're having to really look at how often we're repeating information and how. So.
And also just making these students aware of the there's many high impact practices that are taking place on campus already, and incredible ones I just heard at this table, and just making them aware of those things.
I just wanted to reflect on what the gentleman said over here about all the things that we're doing to help students before they get here, all those college preparation programs that we have. We have so many on this campus, and it's fantastic to get to them beforehand, to help them develop the skills. Well, by the way, I'm sorry, my name is Larry, and I'm from the Early Assessment Program. But we have wonderful programs like the Early Assessment Program, like ERWC, like our TRIO programs, Upward Bound, like our University Outreach, and so many that go out into the schools and help our students. And so I think it's fantastic. We're out there helping them to develop those skills, and we know students who are better prepared coming in to college are going to be more likely to persist, more likely to graduate in a timely manner, and more likely to engage in those high-impact practices. And so I think, focusing our efforts on those will only help our students, our prospective students who get here better prepared, get here not have to worry about remediation so they can focus on all these other things. So I just wanted to reflect on that because I think that's great, and that's something that we're also all about on our end. Thank you.
Any more comments, questions? Thoughts that will send us on our way? All right. President Garcia?
Well, I want to thank all of you for being here today. It is through your work that we're going to continue to make the strategic plan a living and breathing document. But as all of you are here, may you be at Irvine or watching on the web, right here with us at these tables, I need you to do one, to go back to your departments, your divisions, work. Because we also have to listen to the silences of our community who are not speaking up. And we need to get their input too. Their input as to what they think about where we're going and how we're moving forward, and how we engage them in this very important work. All of us are linked together. I think the yarn that was used was to demonstrate that every place we are linked together for the betterment of our students and the betterment of this university. And so those that are silent out there are not part of the link yet. And we need to bring them in. We need to ask them to tell us what they think. They live here too. We spend a lot of hours at Cal State Fullerton together. And we need to understand them. And like our students are telling us, we need to listen to the younger voices. We also need to listen to the older voices and the in-between voices, all the voices, so that we can come together as a community to lift and become the model comprehensive university of the nation. Keep up the urgency. We need to prove to all those people out there that say there's a problem with higher ed. There's not a problem with higher ed here at Cal State Fullerton. We're totally committed to our mission, that learning is preeminent, and we are centered on student success with a fabulous faculty and staff. I am honored to be here with you. Thank you so much. Keep up the good work. Thank you.